A very good evening to you. Welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. This is a program where we highlight political issues and what it means for Nigeria and politicians. Of course, like I say every day when I come on this program, Nigeria belongs to all of us, and we must make sure that we drive a country and we build a country that is built on the foundation of truth, foundation of law, foundation of honesty, and all of the ingredients that are needed to grow a country. Tonight on Big Show, we'll be highlighting what it means for the political rambling between an AAC political leader and a presidential candidate in 2023 political elections, talking about Omoyele Sowore and the federal government at this time. A lot seems to be happening. Okay, so let's go for this short break, and when we're back, we'll get straight into the discussion for tonight. Comes to Nigeria's politics, a lot seems to be at stake, and a lot seems not also to be at stake. Who do you trust? Who do you not trust? A lot of issues around the political insinuation concerning social media, and how some politicians are very active on social media now, and what the government thinks is information, attacking government and gagging the media. There are different perspectives to this issue, right? And remember, some years ago, the late President Muhammadu Buhari and his administration banned Twitter, as it was then called, now which is called X. And a lot of people had different insinuations about the ban. It was gagging the media. A lot of people said differently, but the government said no, that it was for national security. And this time around, there's also a lot of going around concerning the former AAC leader, African Action Congress, the person Omoyele Sowore, whose activity on social media has actually raised eyebrows, and the government wrote a letter to the operators of X saying that a tweet he made about President Tinubu should be taken down. But before we get into the discussion tonight, having to join us, we are talking to the legal counsel of Omoyele Sowore, Dr. S.M. Oyega, who should be joining us tonight to help make sense of this discussion. Let's go check out some of the trending headlines, political headlines that we're able to gather for you tonight, as we do every night when we come on the show. All right, so let's take the first story. Story we have says, more governors will join APC, says Yelwata. More governors will join APC, says Yelwata. All right, so this is a story that we have now, that more governors will join APC, coming from Yawata. Who is Yawata? Yawata is actually the APC national chairman at this point, right? So Yawata is saying that more governors are actually coming to the APC at this time. And that's actually raised a lot of eyebrows about how these governors are coming to APC. It means that maybe he has some intel as to how these governors are going to be coming to APC and what the APC is doing at this point to have more governors come. All right, so the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Professor Netawe Yawata, has said that most state governors will defect to the ruling party ahead of the 2027 general elections to strengthen President Bola Tinubu's second term. That's coming from the APC chairman, Yawata, who has said that more governors will be joining the party. All right, so that information is actually very troubling, and people are really asking questions. Why will he say this at this time? All right, so ours is just to highlight for you Nigerians and allow Nigerians to actually own the discussion and talk about this. All right, so I'll be having our National Assembly correspondents later joining us to maybe just throw more light on this and why the governor, the chairman, former humanitarian minister, he's saying this, and he's so bold to actually say that more governors are coming to the APC. And we've already seen a few governors move to the APC with the mandates of other parties. We've seen the governor of Delta State who has actually moved to the APC, and we've also seen the governor of Akwa Ibom, my state, who's also moved to the APC. Okay, so if we can have Mr. Gimba join us now, our National Assembly correspondent who's joining us now in the studio to help analyze this and what it means for Nigerians, as the chairman of the APC is saying that more governors will be joining the APC. A very good evening to you, Topsy Gimba.
Yeah, Obong, it's a pleasure having me on the program, Big Talk.
All right, so the first story we are looking at tonight says that more governors are will be joining the APC. And the chairman seems to be talking from a very convinced place that, is it that the pact has already been signed with these governors? And who are the governors? What are you hearing at the National Assembly?
Yeah.
Are there discussions about governors who will be defecting to the APC?
Usually, it's a usual political rituals. Political ritual in the sense that any political party that happens to be at the seat of the affair of a country like the way Nigeria is, other political parties simply melt and join the ruling party. It's not just done because APC is there. We saw it then when PDP was in government. And at the point, it was almost becoming like all PDP then. But as soon as we began to see a factionalized PDP, where we call them new PDP, that broke away from the convention that took place at the Eagle Square, we now began to see them really leaving, that some of them who were governors on the platform of PDP began to leave to join the new PDP until what is today called APC was formed by merger. And so if the national chairman of APC is able to say what he said, it then shows that indeed that is not saying it out of place. That has been the usual occurrence in the Nigerian body polity, where ruling party takes it all. And when you talk about governors leaving to join APC, in the first place, how many are there? There are very few left, indeed.
The PDP has about
like in the southeast and in the south-south, this wildfire is gradually consuming most of them there. Some of them out of fear. Who probably
fear over what?
Fear in the sense the performance hasn't been good. Some of them have been there for some time, and the performance hasn't been good. So to find themselves leaning towards the ruling party, they have found themselves in a safe haven to continue, then they will be probed. So that's the way some of them are. And again, because they want to win, they are so interested in remaining in power. Then what do? As much as they have the control of the power, what if he decides to say he's staying, he will still win. If he decides to tell you that he's actually leaving, he will still win. Because they have captured their states. That state capturing is there already. And so to identify themselves properly with the government is to actually leave from the platform they have secured the mandate to join the ruling party. And that's exactly what is happening. And so Professor Netawe Yawata is not speaking out of place. He's not speaking out of place.
He's not speaking out of place.
He's not speaking out of place. Like I told you, it's a political ritual. the ruling party takes the day, and it continues until when it loses power at the end of the day. And then they will now disembark, and then they will fall apart, and then recongregate, and then to form another thing like the way we're beginning to see ADC and whatever. All these are indices of falling apart with the ruling party. But again, as much as the person that is in the power is still at that ruling party, they might not really succeed in fighting him. So what would they do? If they want to win, is to identify. And to identify is to leave the party in which you had the platform initially to get to where you are, and then join the ruling party and then get moving and then rule again for the next 4 years.
So what's the place of the opposition getting very strong and vibrant? And because I've had some conversation with those in the opposition, and their thoughts are of the fact that when the opposition is strong, it's not just doing opposition a favor. They are also doing the ruling party a favor, because democracy becomes stronger. Yeah, our democracy is about interjections, and we should be worried when our democracy is not strong enough to stand on its own. So do you think that this kind of statement, it tilts us towards a one-party system like some people are providing?
Yes, and that's why the ruling party monitors who says what, at what point, and where is he saying it. You may be guaranteed to say what you say, but you are not be guaranteed when the law comes after you. Do you understand? You have the right to say what you want to say because freedom of association is there. But when you are saying it, you have that freedom. But what will come after it is only you that can answer your father's name.
Right, so let's take all the stories that we have tonight. The second story that we're tracking for you before, as we try to finish these stories and get into a main conversation for tonight, is a story that we actually have on some of the front pages, which says, kidnapped Kaduna councillor regains freedom. A councillor representing Gwatu ward in Sanga local government area of Kaduna State, David Alia, has regained his freedom after spending 4 days in the custody of kidnappers. Still the issues of kidnapping. I was thinking kidnapping is a thing of the past, but yeah, when it happens to prominent people like this, it becomes very highlighted, right? So where do we stand as to fighting insecurity? Because I remember in 2015, when the APC came into government, one of the 3 legs of their campaign was corruption, fighting insecurity, and economic stability. So where is the place of how well has the APC been able to fight insecurity in the last 10 years?
Yeah, so that we don't actually drift away from what you wanted to ask concerning the councillor gaining his freedom, and then you ask whether or not you thought probably kidnapping has actually given way, and then we're seeing a new page. It's not like that. That councillor that was kidnapped and now gained his freedom, that's my state, though not my local government. We were in the same local government before. I'm from Jama local government. Jama local government used to be the largest of all in Kaduna State that gave birth to so many of these local government that we have. Jaba local government, Gwantu, Kaura, and Kachia, Kagarko. All these mentions were formerly in one place called Jama local government. Now, this councillor that was kidnapped now regained his freedom. It's an indication that indeed all is not well.
In Nigeria? Or in Kaduna State?
It could be anywhere.
No, I want you to be specific, Mr. Gimba. All is not well where? Is it in Nigeria or is it in Kaduna State?
When kidnapping doesn't have
Mr.
a face...
Mr. Gimba, where is not all well?
All is not well. Kidnapping doesn't have a face. It doesn't have a face of a state. Those who are doing it, they choose to do whatever they want to do at a given point in time. Yeah. Today you'll be hearing it in Niger. Or today you're hearing it in Imo State. Or you're hearing it in Kaduna or in Plateau or whatever. Wherever you might think of. Or even in some states in the southwest. So it doesn't have a face, so it doesn't have state that is domiciled with it. Although it has a proponent of high degree happening in some places like Kaduna, Katsina, Zamfara, Plateau, some places like Kogi, wherever. These places are well known to that extent. And so as a politician, one is expected to know where he goes and what he does at a particular point in time.
So what of the ordinary citizen? If you are saying the politician should know where he goes and what he does, what of the ordinary Nigerians?
We are endangered species already.
Nigerians?
We say ordinary Nigerians. I say we are already endangered species, the ordinary. But those who receive more are those who have made it in life, or they are about to make it in life, or they are making it in life. like this councillor sort of, maybe some people who feel or who felt possibly they weren't so happy because he is there as it is to do away with him or to cripple his political interest by making sure that he doesn't have money again to contest if contestation come up some other time.
Right, and there are issues about if ransoms are being paid. There are issues around if ransoms are being paid for the release and who actually facilitated the release. There are a lot of other issues that we don't get the clear image at this time.
Do you know, Obon? Surprisingly, it will shock you that the councillor, because people are reading these stories on the pages of newspapers. Yeah. A councillor appointed 18 aides. Do you know what a councillor is? It's a tiny, like 2 words put together, and then you represent them at the local level in a state. Local government. A local government in a state that you become a councillor, you represent. And it is written in one of the stories I read. A councillor appointed 18 aides. Now you begin to ask, what happens to the chairman of the local government? Councillor, I don't know if you understand what I mean. Councillor of a word or 2 words mashed together for him. And he went ahead and appointed 18. Where will he even get the money to pay? So these stories are in circulation, have gone viral, and people are reading them. So they become soft targets tomorrow.
Right, so let's take another story. The other story that we have tonight, let's have the story now. All right, so the other story we have says reckless borrowing. Labour Party Health Speaker Abbas challenges Akpabio. That's the other story that we have tonight as we're trying to track these stories for you. This says the Labour Party faction loyal to Nadadi Usman has commended Speaker of the House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas for openly warning the President Bola Tinubu's heavy borrowing is steering the countries into dangerous waters. We're seeing opposition clapping for a member of the ruling party and a very influential member of the National Assembly. The Speaker of the National Assembly, we saw the report
earlier. Of the House of Representatives.
House of Representatives, I beg your pardon. We saw the reports earlier when the Speaker actually cautioned the presidency against borrowing, that we should be careful about borrowing. But the presidents have also argued the fact that we have raised our reserves. We've also raised our earning power. In fact, we now have about 65% of our budget being funded from these generated revenue. So we have more money now. So it gives us more leverage to be able to borrow and tie them to capital projects. That's what their argument, that this borrowing is not tied to wasteful spending, but it's tied to a capital project like the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road and other soft projects. I like that you comment.
Yeah, sure. I think I hope those who are really saying that the Speaker Tajuddin Abbas was like, being in the party and criticizing the presidency for having Nigeria getting indebted to about 68.30 something trillion naira as we speak. The question here is, he didn't actually come out to attack the party where he belongs, but he was charging the lawmakers to properly make sure that they do proper oversight. Because one of the 3 major things that lawmakers in the National Assembly do is oversight, appropriating budget, and then making laws. They appropriate money to all the agencies, including ministries, and then they will now go back and check what they have given to you as a minister, whether or not that what you wrote is actually implementable or not. And so that's what they do. So coming back to borrowing, the way this administration has been doing, it's not just new in this administration. It's been there for a very long time. But I wouldn't know how much has it able to do that is becoming an issue we discuss at the public domain. But let me just tell you that he is expecting that by the time they resume back in 23rd of this month, they should put more interest in doing the oversight to know whether this money that the presidency is borrowing is actually challenging towards development. Because if you now look at how much is being collected as money borrowed from these world institutions, to what extent can you say that we're actually getting the best out of it? Are these monies they are collecting, are they using it to marry wives or to be drinking beer in beer parlors? Right, I wouldn't know. And so if the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, checked into the records and realized that the money is so much, but then what's happening? Are there developments? That's the question.
Right,
so
right.
what would they do as lawmakers? When they resume, let them go and check.
Right, but a question, just before I move about that, a question that the presidency has been very careful in saying this, that the borrowing of this present government is tied to projects, specific projects, and it's gone around to actually mention some of these projects. Let's talk about
What happened to the subsidy removal?
The subsidy removal.
listen,
also the subsidy removal. You know that governors now get at least I've gotten at least ×2 of what they used to get in terms of allocation, almost double, right? So you no longer hear of people complaining of not being able to pay salaries, and even more money have also gone into the local government. So the subsidy removal, according to the presidency, I'm not speaking for them, right? But I'm just reporting what they said. So according to the presidency, we're having more money now flow into the states, which is true,
Yeah.
and more money flow into the local government, which is true. But the people seeing the impact of this one, those are questions that I want to ask.
That's more reason why we need to actually dig into it to know basically. Why I mentioned the idea of subsidy removal, it was intended that this money that we used to pay on these faceless individuals in the name of paying subsidy to get the refined product to Nigeria for us to use. The question here is there should have been more money, because if you subject Nigerians into hardship because you have removed subsidy, and because the removal subsidy has actually created skyrocketed prices to foodstuff and other items in the market, and that means there should be more money. And if there's more money with the government, the idea of going out to borrow money from these war institutions supposed to have reduced to a certain minimal level. Then when you use the money we supposed to have paid to these fellows individuals in the name of subsidy, now that it has been
but look at the program. Look at the program. We have the NEL fund. We have the states getting more resources. And they've talked about that. The presidency have talked about that.
Except it's a smoke screen. Some of these what do you call it, palliatives they are measuring. Except it appears to be like, except they appear to be like smoke screen, deceptive in themselves, but they don't have any substantial backing to make a reflection in our hearts or in our mind or in our daily lives. Otherwise, it does not really speak well for us to be talking about this. In the time past before the coming of this administration, we saw late Buhari that was giving money in marketplaces, sending his vice, that's Professor Oshibajo,
the end power,
doing money all over the place to an extent that the humanitarian was even having so much money that the lady was able to convert the money to her personal account, thinking that he made mistake, thinking that he was sending it to the government's account. So if that was then, they were still paying subsidy. So you can imagine if there was money as at that time that they had so much to play around with. At what point in time will not say remove of the subsidy will not cause problems that we are now going out to borrow? And so something is actually in the offering that we do not know, and we need to really deep into it. And that's what the speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, was really saying. When they resume on the 23rd, they should put more eye on what has been appropriated for the ministry, department, and agencies, so that at the end of the day, they should be able to be accounted for, so that nobody sits there, collects money, go and marry many wives, or going to throw a party in the United States of America, or to one island in the Caribbean, and then come back again and go and ask for more money to be used. It doesn't work that way. And that's why he said. But then I feel he's only been attacked, because opposition used an opportunity, if he erred in a way of saying something, or probably not read correctly, they can convert it to satisfy their ego and to say what we are beginning to hear today from the opposition.
Right. So let's take the last story that we are tracking for you tonight. The last story says PDP dead, buried, controlled by APC, Dino Melaye. All right, so a former lawmaker representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Senator Dino Melaye, known popularly as SDM, has declared that the People's Democratic Party is dead, is buried, and alleging that the party is now under the control of the ruling All Progressive Congress. Before we go for our break, let me have your view on what Dino Melaye thinks of APC or PDP. Yeah, I think PDP is dead, PDP is buried, and is now controlled under the control of the APC. Is this a fair assessment? I cover PDP. Yes. Is this a fair assessment of the PDP?
You cover as a reporter,
Yes.
but the nitty-gritty, that's what we call the undercurrent. You know, when water flows, you only see the surface, but the damage is
So I see only the surface,
you only see the surface
of what is happening in the
The
PDP.
undercurrent that is there.
I speak
If
to
you put
PDP
your leg-
members
if you
a
put
lot.
your
I
leg-
speak to their governors. I speak to their NEC members. I
Yeah.
speak to their leaders.
They choose what to tell you so that you go and do your stories.
All right. So, but the leaders say the party is the PDP is doing very well.
They will tell the PD is doing very well. But the same PDP that you see so many of them who had the opportunity to govern Nigeria and live in the party. Don't forget that Dino Melai is an appendix to some of these politicians who are there. Appendix in the sense that I'm not saying that he's not a good politician, but somebody.
He's a senator in his
Let
right.
me tell you.
He's a senator in his right.
That is what is called a parasitic plant. A parasitic plant is that plant that survives by going around a palm tree. Otherwise, it does not stand on its own.
That's very harsh, Gimba. But go ahead.
I'm not saying harsh. It's like that with politicians. I'm not talking to Dino per se.
All right.
There are so many of them who survive because a figure stands there. And Ericos tree is the forest as is growing. And that's why they ride around.
From what I'm hearing from the PDP, they are saying that members are begging them, people are begging them to come back to the party now.
If he's able to say what is said, and then means he must understood the situation. Of course, he is a right-hand man to Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah.
Atiku Abubakar had used PDP very seriously at a point. Now
He's
not there.
Was he using the PDP?
That was his platform. I said to become a leader. He used PDP to become a leader.
Absolutely.
And now he's no longer there. Can't he?
But he has not joined any other party.
But he is no longer with
But he has
PDP.
not joined any party. He could go back to the PDP.
We're talking about the existential problem. What exists is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Who is Atiku now? He is not with PDP.
But he's not with any other party.
Whether he's going to stand as individual,
Not with any other
whether he's
party.
going to stand as individual, as independent candidate, or probably to join to affiliate himself to a political party, that one is not yet known. But we know that he's no longer with the party.
Thank you so much, Topsy Gimba. Let's go for a short break. And when we're back, we'll get to our discussion for tonight. This is Big Talk. My name is Wupong Usoro, and we have a Topsy Gimba National Assembly correspondent joining us to help make sense of some of the discussions that we have tonight. Let's go for this break. All right, so this is still Big Talk, a program where we discuss political discussions, and tonight we had joining us Topsy Gimba to help make sense of the discussion, our National Assembly correspondent. Thank you so much, Topsy,
I
for
appreciate
sharing your wealth of experience. But just before I allow you go, I get over to our other guest that will be joining us via the telephone to join us talk from Akwa Ibom, a public affairs analyst. I'd like to ask one thing, Topsy. There's this, I don't know if you follow the news, but Shiowere, of course you know him, he likes being in the news for obvious reasons, and he's been in the news again concerning an article where he wrote about the presidency, and the presidency actually wrote to X, formerly called Twitter, to, that article is anti-national security, right, and today he highlighted a personal message wrote to him by Bayo Onanuga, who is senior special assistant to the president on media. And we're talking about that article also. I like that you share your thoughts about the media and the space and gagging political conversation at this time, because the government says it's about national security. But she always say no, allow us to air our views no matter how it is, that he has evidence to claim that. Already he's in court for a lot of reasons with the National Assembly. We were supposed to have his legal representatives join us tonight. He just called to reschedule, and hopefully we'll have him in one of these days. Just like to have
Just
him
briefly, Obong, you have the freedom of expression, freedom of speech, but not what you say. Even in developed climes, like America, for instance, there are certain things you say, they will go after you. It's not just because we are living in a developing economy like the way Nigeria is. Somebody gets up and he puts up an article, against the government because you have freedom of speech. You are guaranteed to speak, but you are not going to be guaranteed what you say. They will go after you. But I know Shiowere to be an activist. He's an activist, and these are the attitude or exhibits of an activist. He creates sentiment immediately. They call it mass communication magic bullet theory. The magic bullet theory, creates a stimuli so that you get rapid response. That's what it is he is doing, and so he's attracting people around him by saying the things that ought not to say, even though they are supposed to be said. But how do you say those things they become so fundamental, and one needs to be careful. So that's exactly what it is about leadership. And so for government to warn him doesn't really mean they're gacking. It's not like that. Because national security stands out to be the most important. And when something happens that will now become so chaotic and they disintegrate the country, he too cannot survive it. It becomes the issue of a French Revolution. Those who caused the revolution were equally being killed as a result of the revolution they created.
So let's be very mindful of our languages of cute and all of that. All right, so I will have joining us Jonathan Essien, who is joining us from Akwa Ibom. He's a public affairs analyst and a journalist. A very good evening to you, Jonathan.
Yes, good evening, and good to be on the show once again this evening.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's talk about the Shiowere's issue. Tonight we're supposed to have his legal representative who, have just called to counsel at the time and promised to, actually show up in no time because of the responsibilities he had today. I like that you talked to us about the issues surrounding several issues. There were issues surrounding his protest for the IGP to leave office, that the IGP has spent 35 years in office and should be leaving office. There was an issue about his AI classes being stolen by, or being taken by the Nigerian police force, and this current issue about, there was even an issue about Nigerian stand being empty at Japan and all of that. I like that you just share your thoughts to some of the things that are going on the social media between this person and the federal government.
Okay, first and foremost, we need to understand who Shiowere is. He's, I should say, if I'm permitted to use the word, might say activist. He's an activist, and being an activist, what it means, putting your life, on the line for a lot of things, and he has been advocating for several things in the country. Trying to voice his concerns, most especially on behalf of Nigerians, coming out to say that this should be done this way and this should not be done this way. And talking about Sowore, over the years, we have seen what he has done, his own capacity, trying to stand out from other Nigerians, and even going as far as coming out as a presidential candidate to see if he could be voted into power. But currently, we have seen the statements and also what he has come out to do over the weeks, and his name has been all over the globe. And first of all is political party calling for a coalition. Right now, other parties are looking at how they can grab the big names, and Sowore right now is absolutely one of the big names.
You say he's one of the big names.
He's one of the big names, I can tell you, because he's making headlines. He's making headlines, and you want to work with someone that is making headlines. And I'm looking at what he has done. I believe Nigerians. I believe that Nigerians, are looking at someone that can have a voice of their own. Because currently, sometimes certain things are being done, and you just don't have someone that can voice out a particular concern. And let me just chip this in. We have a popular man in the country, although he has come out publicly to declare that he's not interested, running in any political post, and he has been coming out to voice out his concerns, to a lot of things. And I was thinking, if he was to be a political, he was to be into politics, probably, the coalition party, the ADC, and other members would have driven big vehicles down to his garage and give him papers for him to sign. But as we speak, that is not on paper. We're talking about Sowore, who right now, as I said, is a big gun, and he has rejected a whole lot. He said he doesn't want to join. He has given his instances citing the 2013-2015 coalition, what led to the APC, and what the APC is currently doing, to Nigerians right now. And he has said that he cannot be, part of that. Instead of that, you just need to fix the country. These are the things that you need to do, and you have to do this. And he has also given his concerns, saying that they lack credibility. I mean, right from 2013, just as he said, that the current political party, they have not been able to do anything tangible. So why forming another coalition that is going to lead to...
Right, so I'd just like to interject your thoughts, I beg your pardon, and just ask a few questions now, right? And you think that sole activism at this point, right? He formed the party, the ANC, and he's run as a candidate of that party in 2 elections, and maybe even running in 2027. Do you think this is a strategy that in the long run will enable him politically? Don't you think that maybe mending fences and also joining other political parties like the ADC, the Labour Party, and other political parties will help his political career at this time?
That could have been a big shot for him, but I think I'll still stand by what he said. I'm still going to quote what he said, and he said he doesn't want to join any political party. He has given his instances, and for me, I would have said that would have been, a big move, but he said he's not interested in it. He's absolutely not interested in joining any political party, and if you look at the implication, what will happen at 2027, Ubong? I mean, maybe he's looking at what will happen after 2027. What if? Because that's always the question mark. What if, at the end of the day, the party do not win? What happens to those and the party? I think that is one thing he's also looking at.
What if which of the party does not win in 2027?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what if the party that he's being drawn into doesn't win in 2027?
Yeah.
We might have what they call maybe a fragmentation in the party. It might lead to a whole lot of things. So I think he had his own reason, and he came out clearly to state one of his reasons, just as I said before, the experiences that that led to the past collision, what has happened,
Right.
that there's nothing fruitful that has come out from those collisions.
Right now. Okay, so there are questions about activists who come on national space, who come on national television, and who come on our national space to go try being councillors. People bring that suggestion at all. Like, go try being a councillor, go try being a state governor before you try to be president. And Showery does not think that is the way to grow in politics. Do you think it is necessary for him to go try being a councillor, maybe a chairman, before even going to be a governor, even House of Reps or Senate, before wanting to be Nigeria's president?
Okay, I think I need to go back to when I was in school. I can remember that before you attain any height, you need to pass through different doors. You need to become this, one time that. But I don't think that should be, a pointer for you to hold a position in the country if you are capable enough. And I think that's what he has been saying. Showery has always been advocating that if you are capable enough, if you know you have what it takes for you to become a good leader, to lead the country, you don't need to pass through different corridors. You don't need to pass through different routes before you become the president or so. And that is what he has always been, advocating, that for you to become a president, you need to know what you want to do. A good leader, when you see a good leader, you will know a good leader. So for me personally, fine, you need to gain those experiences, being a governor, being this, being that. But we have seen governors who were never something, but they are leading the state, they are leading the political positions that they have been given to them.
So you don't buy that argument. You don't buy, Mr. Essien, you don't buy the argument that for you to want to be Nigeria's president like Showery, that you need to go be a governor and gain experience and know how to manage the state, because Nigeria is quite maybe quite very complex. I don't want to use the word difficult, but Nigeria seems to be quite complex to manage as a country.
Mr. Sora, I think let me just use an example. The current governor of Akwa Ibom State, I don't think I stand to be corrected. I could remember he was just a commissioner. He was given a commissioner
for lands.
Yeah, and he wasn't a commissioner for a very long time. I don't think he had much experience when it comes to leadership, when it comes to being,
Is he doing well? Is he doing well as a governor? That answer is optional.
He has won. If talking about that, he has won the best governor of the year last year, and more awards coming to him. That's good to show that when you see a good leader, he can lead. So I'm using that as example. For me, I don't think that you need to pass different routes, but I've still said that experience is always a key, to meeting certain things. But when you have a leadership skill in you, I think you can become what you want to do, and that's what Showery is preaching.
Yeah.
You don't need.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. But go ahead and complete that thought.
Okay, so you don't need to go to school for you to become a leader. You don't need to have a mentor. But what you need to do is you need to know the right things to do at the right time. You need to know when to do certain things and when not to do certain things. And I think that's what we're lacking. We don't have credible leaders. We don't have people that understand or know what they have to do at the right time. I mean, look at other countries. Look at Burkina Faso. Look at what the young man is doing in there. I mean, that is leadership. He knows what he wants to do for the country, and he has stepped into the big shoes and is doing it so well. So who says, I mean, I can become the president of this country if I have the leadership skill, if I know what I want to do at the right time. I don't need to have or to pass through different routes. I don't need to become a counselor. What about if I become a counselor for the next 4 years and at the end of the day I don't become what I want to be? But I think when I have that skill in me, I can lead whosoever I want to lead.
Right,
and that's what
thank you so much. The last question I'm going to be asking you tonight concerning this Showery's politics and government issues? Is it just about, as an activist, highlighting the problems? You are a journalist that have trained other journalists. You are a journalist who've been long in the field. As a journalist, is it just about highlighting the things that government hasn't done well? Where is the place of also complimenting government when they do well? The last question I have for you, Mr. Essien, tonight.
Okay, so I didn't get that well. The network.
I said, as journalists, isn't just highlighting the issues that the things government isn't doing well. Where is the place of also complimenting government when they do well?
Okay, just as we know, the media is a vehicle where that carries messages to people, and when messages are not being carried so well, they will say that the communication is broken. Most times, we have good things being done. The media will tell you that, okay, this is what they have done, and I think I've been seeing it many times.
No, I'm talking about Showere in 30 seconds.
Okay. Sorry, come again with
Tonight we are talking about Showere.
Yeah.
So what is the place of also a partnership with government?
Okay, for Sowore, we know he's an activist. We know he's an activist, and just as I said earlier when I started speaking, he has been speaking against the government. And I think earlier this week we saw what had happened. The government's coming out to say this is what they want to do. Although it's alleged now, talking to Meta to bring down most of his pages because he has been talking back at the government. But if we want to look at it again, if he has to keep his mouth shut, it will look as if we don't have someone that is speaking. But at the same time, when you speak,
right,
you should know that whatever you say, you need to hold it accountable for yourself, because
right, thank you.
You have freedom to speak, but the freedom after speech is always a problem.
Right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Jonathan Essien, joining us live from Akwa Ibom to help make sense of the discussion. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your wealth of experience. Thank you for speaking to us tonight. And people, that's the size of our program for tonight. As we go, remember that Nigeria belongs to all of us, and we must contribute to make this great country the beautiful, safe, and intelligent place that it is, right? Nigeria has some of the most intelligent people in the world, and we must contribute our quota to keep growing the country and to make the country a very nice place. From me, I'm saying bye for now.